Jordan Peterson begins by thanking everyone for coming, and then he introduces himself. He says, I am just gone, talk to you as if we were having a conversation, because I think that is appropriate, given that I know many of you have been kind enough to reach out to me individually in the last few years, since I started talking about personal responsibility and meaning, and chaos and all the things that we're going to be talking about. Then he moves on to the main topic of the speech. He says, so let me ask you this. What do you want? What do you really want? This question hung in the air as the students considered it. They had come to hear Peterson speak about success, but they had not anticipated such a direct challenge. What do you really want? Kletu. The question echoed their own internal dialogues. Many had dreams tucked away, aspirations they'd never voiced, even to themselves. Now Peterson's gaze seemed to pierce through their facades, pulling them towards a deeper truth. He continued, why are you here? Why did you come tonight? What do you want? What would you like to get? And I don't mean what you would like to get from me. I mean, what would you like to get out of life? A smattering of responses arose. Success, someone yelled from the back. Money, fame, love. Their answers were as varied as their faces, yet each held a kernel of yearning. Peterson nodded, acknowledging their multitude of desires. But he wasn't finished. He wanted them to dig deeper, to excavate the bedrock of their ambitions. But why do you want those things? If you said you wanted success, why do you want that? A pregnant pause filled the hall. The students looked at each other, searching for an anchor in the shifting sands of their own motivations. Some shifted uncomfortably, unsure of their own whys, while others, emboldened by anonymity, shouted random justifications. "'Cause I want to help people," one voice rang out. "Q, because I want to leave a legacy," another proclaimed. Peterson smiled, recognizing the nobility of their aspirations, but he pressed on. "That's a noble answer, but why do you want to help people? And why do you want to leave a legacy? Why do you want that?" His questions weren't meant to be confrontational, but they carried a weight that demanded honesty. In the ensuing silence, a young woman's voice broke through. "Because I want to be remembered." She looked out at the sea of faces, her own fear transforming into a shared vulnerability. "We're all afraid of being forgotten, aren't we?" As the first hand went up slowly, hesitantly, others began to nod their heads in unison. The room resonated with a chorus of yas and mums. In that moment, they weren't just students anymore. They were human beings, bearing their souls in a cathedral of shared understanding. Peterson's gaze softened, acknowledging their raw honesty. He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Well, there's no need to be afraid of that. You're not going to be forgotten. You will be remembered because you are here right now." His words hung in the air, amplifying their impact. "You are here right now," he continued. "Most people live lives of quiet desperation. They go to school, they get jobs they hate. They marry to stave off loneliness. Sometimes they have kids because they're told they should. They waste their lives chasing meaningless degrees or empty relationships or chasing stuff they don't actually want. It's a slow death. It's a death by 1,000 cuts, and it breaks my heart. I see it everywhere." His voice cracked with emotion, betraying the depth of his empathy for those trapped in this cycle. They work hard at their dead-end jobs, dutifully paying their bills and raising their kids. They play by the rules, but they're not really alive. They're just surviving. They tell themselves they'll start living once they finish school, get a better job or lose a few pounds, but they never do. They become bitter, resentful, and eventually hopeless. They end up hating their lives and themselves. And that is the worst fate imaginable. There was a heavy silence as his words sank in, the weight of his message pressing down on the students. He went on, "And it doesn't have to be that way. We can choose to live differently. We can choose to take responsibility for our actions and our future. We can choose to stop blaming others for our problems. We can choose to stop making excuses for ourselves. We can choose to live lives of purpose and meaning instead of despair. His voice echoed through the hall, filling every corner with his urgent message. We all have the power to choose our future. We can choose to be the people we want to be instead of the people we've even told we should be. Still, we can choose to pursue our dreams and our goals. We can choose to live lives of courage, compassion, and creativity. The students sat mesmerized, his words igniting a spark of hope within them. He ended his speech by saying, "Life is hard. There's no doubt about it. But life is also beautiful. And that beauty can only be appreciated when we face and overcome our challenges, when we take responsibility for our actions and our future, when we choose to be brave instead of cowardly, when we choose to be honest instead of deceitful, when we choose to be compassionate instead of indifferent. That's when we truly begin to live. That's when we begin to experience the fullness of life, the beauty, the joy, the wonder. Don't settle for a life of quiet desperation. Choose a life of purpose and meaning. Choose a life that you can be proud of. Choose a life that matters. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to choose your future? Are you willing to take responsibility for your actions and your life?" He paused, allowing his words to sink in, his eyes scanning the sea of faces before him. Are you willing to choose a life of courage, compassion, and creativity? Are you willing to choose a life that matters? A roar erupted, shaking the very foundations of the hall. "Yes," they shouted, their voices echoing with newfound determination. "Yes," it reverberated through the room, bouncing off the walls like a battle cry. Yes, it was a resounding affirmation of their commitment to live, to choose life in all its challenges and its beauty. It was a testament to their willingness to take responsibility for their actions and their future. It was a pledge to live lives of purpose and meaning, of courage, compassion, and creativity, of lives that truly mattered. Thank you for watching this video. Jordan Peterson, one of the best motivational speakers in the world.